Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sam. Today I'll be doing some more EU4 tutorial series. So we're up to episode 3. In the last episode, we went over the entire UI of this game, and yes, it is a big UI, and there's a lot of things here, but don't worry, it's all pretty straightforward once you get used to it. So it might seem very how would you say it? Very overwhelming at the start, but it's not. Don't worry, you'll figure it out pretty quick. But in this episode, we're going to be checking out the flag. If you click here, ta-da, we're here. We have all of our things open, and we have all of our tabs. Now, there's a lot here. All these tabs have different functions. Now, I'll be going through these different functions. We'll be trying to get through the first 3, maybe 4. Maybe we'll get through trade this episode. I highly doubt it, though. That's probably going to be next episode. But in this episode, we're going to try to get through the first 3. Hopefully. So let's begin. If you're still watching this point, you're the best because you're still watching and you can still make it through my voice. So let's go. Let's start off with the first tab, which is government. First of all, how do you get to this? So you click on your flag, and there you go. You're at government. You're going to be clicking on this flag constantly. This is a constant flag. You're going to be constantly clicking here to get to the menus. Now, this button right here, we'll get to that in a second, but this is the main button here, your big flag. So for us, it's the Castilian flag. So the government tab is possibly, it's one of the tabs you spend the least time in. Oh, actually, it'd be one of the more, actually, I'm lying. It's one of the more important tabs. What you do here is you pretty much, it's everything that has to do with your administration, so your government, what's going on in the government. So this is where you pick your different advisors, which we explained last time. So we have Baltazar de Toledo, Valeriano Arlena, blah, blah, blah. These guys are all, they give you stats, and they give you an extra little bonus. We've already talked about this. We've already spoken about this last episode. If you don't know what that is, just go back to the last episode. I explain it very simply there. All right, so now let's go up here. This is our government form. We are a feudal monarchy, which gives us these bonuses here. So plus 10% national manpower modifier and plus 25% income from vassals. I don't blame you guys if you don't know what those mean yet. The 10% manpower modifier means that we get 10% more manpower. So our maximum is times 10% bigger. Actually, no, the manpower modifier has to do with how large our army is. I'm always mixing up manpower modifier with the manpower reserves. Even then I might be wrong. I don't know. I'll have to check that out. But I think it has to do with the manpower, like the amount of military force we can have here. I think so. For the force, no, that would be the force limit. So yes, I was right the first time. I'm sorry. 10% manpower modifier would mean that we have 10% more manpower here. So we get 26,000 instead of, if we didn't have this, we'd have 2,600 less manpower. So we'd be down to 24,000. So this gives us a little bit more manpower to use. Pretty useful. And income from vassals. So our vassals get us 25% more money, which is, it's okay. Your vassals aren't going to be making you your bulk of your money, but it's always nice to have that little bit of extra money. Now, if we click this change government button, there's a lot of different government forms. So there's the despotic monarchy, administrative monarchy, absolute monarchy, constitutional monarchy, I apologize, and enlightened despotism. Now, these are all different. They all have their different perks. They're not really that important, but some of them are better than others. Like, for instance, I don't really like the constitutional monarchy. I don't think it's that great. But on the other hand, I really do like the administrative monarchy. So it's all subject to different people. If you want to change, it costs 100 admin power, which is your most important power. So if you really want to change, you're going to want to do it because if you want to change, it's really a big leap because that's 100. That's 100 points you could be spending on other things like cores and stuff. So keep that in mind when changing your government. It's not a big feature, but it's there. So if you want to do it, you can do it. I usually, most of the time, about 90% of the time, I'll stick to my original government form. Now, of course, republics have different government forms, and then there's theocracy, which is the third government form. The third main European one. There's also the the tribal councils for the indigenous people. The natives. And then there's a last one too. The nomads the nomads use tribal as well. So the tribal's the last one. There we go. So yeah, there's all sorts of different ones. If you play different nations, you'll see the different types. All you got to keep in mind is these two right here. These little stats here. There might be 3 or 4, so just keep that in mind. Now, under there is a very important person. That's the king of your nation. So, king or queen. I'm not going to be biased. So, for now, we have King Juan II of Trastamara. De Trastamara is our dynasty. So, we have the same dynasty as you can see right there. Same dynasty, right under inaugurated 26th of December 1406. We are the same dynasty as Alfonso V, sorry, from Aragon, and Juan II of Navarra. So what does that mean? That is a very complicated feature. Whoever has the same dynasty as you, you can claim their throne. Well, no, you can't claim their throne, but if their king dies without an heir, you'll go to a succession war with them for the throne because you are the closest heir. Now, that is a really complicated subject. I won't get into that right now because it's pretty complicated, but just keep that in mind. So you're the same dynasty as whoever shows up there, so just keep in mind that they could take your throne if you don't have anybody. Inaugurated 26th of December 1406, age 39, so that just tells you how old he is and when he was inaugurated. He's a 1-1-2, which means that he gives you 1 administrative skill every month, 1 diplomatic skill every month, and 2 military skill every month. So as you can see, this guy is pretty bad. You can have a maximum of a 666 leader, which I guess is kind of satanic, but you can have a maximum of a 666 leader, which is the highest you can get. Which is actually a very good leader. Very, very good leader, and as a matter of fact. So if you have a 666 leader, that's very good. But a 1-1-2, not so much. And poor old Castile gets the worst heir in the game, and possibly the worst king I've ever seen. It's a 0-0-0, Enrique de Trastamara. Now, a fun fact about Enrique, he's an actual guy. He actually lived at one point. He had a very serious mental disability, so that's why they gave that to him. It's kind of funny, kind of cheeky, but it's kind of the truth, too. He was a terrible leader, but there you go. So we'll be getting him next when King Juan dies. Now, something else to note is if your heir dies, if your heir dies and you don't have anybody in your dynasty, then you will adopt the dynasty of whoever you have a royal marriage with. So your dynasty can change if your dynasty can change throughout the game if you don't have an heir, and then you get an heir from another country. But I've seen games. Some games I've stayed with my same dynasty the entire game. Some games I changed dynasties. It's a complicated feature. I'll get into that much later. And up here we have our accepted cultures. Now cultures, if you click on any province in the game, you'll be able to see the culture right there. The culture here is Castilian in Leon. If we click on Cáceres, I don't know. You can see that the culture is also Castilian. Now get down here in Cadiz, it's Andalusian right there. So, our accepted cultures are Castilian and Andalusian. So if any province is Castilian or Andalusian, that is the accepted culture. So they are the best people. We accept them the most. Now, let's take a look at Galicia. Galicia is Galician, which is yellow, which means that it is a OK, which is, same culture group. So if we take a look at the culture map mode, which is right here, the accepted culture map mode, we can take a look at our country. We can see that, look, all of these are accepted cultures, but the green ones will be the most accepted. Sorry, that's not even true. The blue ones are cultures that are in the same culture group. Green, like the brightest green, is our main culture. Darker green is accepted, and red means it's not accepted. So if we take a look at, we can't take a look at any other nations, I don't think, this map mode. That kind of sucks. But if we were to take a look at, let's say, Hungary, Hungary's all Hungarian, but they might not have Croatian as their accepted culture. So Croatian might be wrong there. Might not be the right one, but the Turks are a fantastic example of this. Ottomans. They have Turkish on one side, which is their accepted culture, but Greek and Bulgarian certainly isn't accepted. So the people there have a much higher chance to revolt. And poor little Albania with their single Albanian culture group, which is funny because there's only one more nation. There's only one other nation on the planet with that, and that's Navarra, that has their Basque culture group, which are the only ones that have that as their accepted culture. Now, there might be another one here or there, but other than that, they're pretty unique. They're unique little snowflakes. But culture, I wouldn't have a problem with culture, really. And I just got a Steam message. Perfect. I wouldn't really worry about culture too much because it's a kind of a minor feature. It can be a big deal if you have a large nation that spans across Africa, Europe, Asia. But in Castile, really not an issue until we started expanding into other countries that are not on the Iberian Peninsula, because this is pretty much all the same culture, and we're pretty much going to be all the same culture group. Okay, so that's culture. Let's move on to country modifiers. There's nothing there right now. As we get random events, more little bubbles will appear there. Those bubbles mean different things, like they will increase tax modifier, lower tax modifier. Whenever you accept a one of the two options of a random event, let's say it's like increased tax modifier but lower stability, or lower tax modifier and increased stability, then if you lower tax modifier, that will be right there in the country modifiers. Increased tax modifier will be there as well. So it'll be there to let you know that it's still active until the date it says on the event. So that's there for that. There's also a few national decisions you can pick that will make little modifiers there. pretty much you'll never be looking there. Pretty much you'll just know that they're active and you'll remember. This is how many points we're getting per month on each category. So we're getting 4 admin, 4 diplo, and 8 military. Here you can select your national focus. This is a new feature in Res Republica, I think, where you can pick a national focus. So pretty much if I picked military, which it's default to military for Castile, which is kind of weird, you'll get +2 military points per month, but you'll get -1 of the other 2. So it's just for if you want to become really powerful in one type, you can then set your focus to that. So if you don't have Res Republica, don't even worry about that feature, but since I have Res Republica installed, I have that feature. Perfect. Let's move on to the next tab. Diplomacy. This is the tab you'll be spending the most time in, probably. There's a few other tabs you're going to be spending a lot of time in. This one and government are some big ones. The first 3 are some really big tabs. The other ones are going to be nice and quick. We're going to pass through them really quick. So, this is our government, or this is our diplomatic screen. So here's Castile. We're Catholic. We have the Western Tech Group, as I showed in the first episode. We are a kingdom. We're a feudal monarchy. Yeah, whatever. King Juan de Trastamara. This is all stuff that's repeating. He's age 19. He has a strong claim, which means if you have an heir with a weak claim, somebody that's in the same dynasty as you or has a royal marriage with you can claim your throne. So yeah, that's bad because then if they claim your throne and your king dies, then they take the throne instead of the heir. So that's really bad. You want to avoid that. Here we have diplomatic relations. You can only have a maximum of 4 diplomatic relations. There's some things that act as diplomatic relations, others don't. I'll get into that once we get into the actual diplomatic relations. Just try to stay under that number because if you go over, you're going to start losing diplomatic points. If you're in the Holy Roman Empire, getting under that number is very difficult. So playing any of these nations here, so any of, I'll just stay on this map mode. This is a lot easier for the tutorial. So if you're playing any of these nations in here, any of the Holy Roman Empire nations, it's very hard to stay under that number. But if you're playing Castile, you'll probably be under that number for probably the entire game. What is this? Diplomatic reputation increase. So this is how much people like you more. This is pretty much like your modifier, so how much people like you based on just what you have. So this is we get this because we have a high legitimacy, so that's why people like us more. Don't worry about that number. Again, you'll probably never be looking at that. And we have a plus 11% improved relations, which means that we can improve relations 11% faster, I guess 11% more than other people. So we can, instead of increasing relations by 100, we could probably increase it by 111, which is pretty useful. Don't worry about that number again. You'll never be looking at it. Our primary cultures are there. Our spies. Spies are really a minor feature and really bad feature in the game. Nobody goes for the espionage ideas, but it's just there because if people pick espionage ideas, don't worry about that. You'll never be looking at that either. They have no current policies. Policies are an interesting feature as well. I'll get to that later, but they're very secondary as well. And here's all your stats. So you can see these stats for any player, or any country for that matter. So stability, prestige, ideas, so you can see what ideas they took. And you can see the administrative, military, and diplotech. So let's say if we want to go to France, France has 0 stability, France has 4 prestige, they have no ideas, and they're a 3-3-3. So same thing as us. And that's good. So with that, we can now see anybody on the planet, any nation on the planet, we can see what they're at on technology front, prestige, stability, and all of that. Right here, we can create vassals. So we can create Galicia because they have a core. This is not really, you're never going to be creating vassals really unless it's in a peace deal, but really this create vassals button is kind of pointless. Nobody really creates vassals. Well, except unless you want to vassal feed them, but that's a complicated mechanic that I'll have to get into later. So let's skip that. Here, this is the opinion menu. I don't spend a lot of time in this because I just prefer to go see the country, but a lot of people do like to use this menu. So you can scroll down and see the opinion, your opinion, and their opinion, because even though you're a player, you still have an opinion of them for the AI. The AI still wants the player to have an opinion of them. So we can see here, we have a plus 10. We have a plus 10 opinion. Wait, what is this? Austria, well, Aachen. Okay, this is Aachen's opinion, and this is Castile's opinion. So Castile has a plus 10 opinion. So we have a plus 10 opinion of them. They have a plus 10 opinion of us. If you scroll over any of these numbers, you can see why. Aachen is a plus 10 opinion, or we have a plus 10 opinion of them. Or sorry, Aachen. I'm mixing up the numbers. Aachen has a plus 10 opinion of us because we are the same religion. We have a plus 10 opinion of them because we're the same religion. So there you go. Aragon, minus 97, because we are a rival. hostile relations, and border friction. But they like us because we're the same dynasty and same religion. We don't like them because we're rivals, hostile relations, and border friction. So as you can see, you can go through any country, you can click on any of them, and just click on the flag as well to go see where they are. So the tiny little nation of Corfu is there. They are a vassal of Venice from the start. So yeah. Okay. Now here comes the complicated part. You can click this view your country button at any time. So if you want to just go back to your country, you can just click on any nation in here, and then you just click view your country, and there you go. Okay, so let's go through these little tabs here. We have a truce with Granada, so we can scroll over it. We have a truce with Granada until the 1st of January 1448. Okay. And we have the Reconquest Casus Belli on Granada. A Casus Belli is a reason to go to war with somebody. So it can be anything from a claim on their land. It can be anything from them embargoing us. It can be that they are the different religion from us. It can be because they have colonies beside us. It can even be because they are... let's see, there's a whole lot of different reasons to go to war with people in this game, and some of them are kind of bullshit, to be honest. Some of them are really like, really, you're going to war for that reason, but they're there. So they're all there, they're all abusable. I've used, I think, all of them at least once. One of them is even just native killing, because you just need to kill the natives, and you go to war with natives. So that's always fun, I guess. Yeah, so, and then we have the mission to form alliance with Portugal. Perfect. So let's move on to, let's see. Let's click on Aragon. Here, this will open up. Here we can see all of the buttons, but if we click on this button here, we can show Aragon's opinion of everyone else, and everyone else's opinion of Aragon. Now, this is very rare that you'll ever be using this. This is very, very in-depth for nothing, really. You don't really need to use this ever, because you mostly only really care about what they think of you. And those numbers are right there. So they have a -97 opinion of us, and we have a -89 opinion of them. This little button here, or this little image here, means that they are a rival of us. So that's like the rivalry emotion towards us. Now, if we click on France, they have the little heart, which means that they are friendly towards us, which means that they will be very happy to join us in wars, very happy to make alliance with us. That's great. There's also the neutral. Oh, this is threatened, which means that they see us as a force that could kill them very easily as Granada. Granada never survives, so they have a very good reason for being threatened. So yeah, and there's also, let's see if we can find a neutral. There's a friendly. Neutral is the most common. My game is lagging. There we go. There's neutral. Neutral, they just don't really care. They're like, these people are right. So that's that. We have a question mark because we're a human player. They don't know what to we don't know what to think of them because we're thinking about them. Like, it's my opinion of them, not the game. So that's me. That's what I'm thinking. A human. As it says, Castile is a human player. Their attitude towards Aragon is entirely up to them. So I get to pick. Let's press this button again. Let's go through these. The first button is the big declare war button. I don't have a Casus Belli, which means that I will be getting -2 stability on declaring that war. My war exhaustion will be +2, and they roll over Naples, which means they will aid them in the war. And I get a -20 to aggressive expansion. So, what does that mean? -2 stability hit from no Casus Belli is standard. If you don't have a Casus Belli, you'll be getting a -2 stability hit. Straightforward. The +2 war exhaustion means that the second you declare the war, you're going to be getting 2 war exhaustion. War exhaustion is a stat we'll get into later, but this is bad. War exhaustion is bad. So you want to try to have a Casus Belli, because we'll also be getting -20 aggressive expansion, which is terrible. Aggressive expansion is terrible. It's pretty much whenever you declare a war on any nation and take provinces, you'll get aggressive expansion, which means everybody in the area around you will dislike you a bit more. It's a tough stat to handle if you're one of these little nations here in the Holy Roman Empire, because they are very close together and everybody is on the same borders as everybody else. So you'll be getting a lot of people that are going to hate you because of aggressive expansion. Down here on the Iberian Peninsula, there's 4 of us. I don't think there's going to be a lot of problems. Well, there's 5 of us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5. So there's not going to be a lot of problems with aggressive expansion. They rule over Naples, which will aid them, which means that Naples is in a personal union with Aragon from the start of the game. So with that, Naples will automatically be called in against me, and they have no choice because it's the same king. Look, personal union under Alphonse V of Trastamara. And look who it is. It's Alphonse V of Trastamara that's ruling Aragon. So they'll have no choice but to join the war. Now, if they were allied to, say, France, it would say France will be called into the war. The way calls in work is the defender always gets to call their allies first. So if I declare war on Aragon, they will be able to call in France, even if I'm allied to France. If I'm allied to France, I won't be able to call in France until after I've declared war to Aragon. So it's a good idea to get common allies with people that you don't plan on going to war with, but are rivals. So let's say I rivaled, let's see, Austria, but I didn't want to go to war with them ever. I just wanted to rival them because, I don't know, just a weird reason. Maybe I was enemies with Austria for some reason. Maybe I was Bohemia. Bohemia is not in a good state to go to war with Austria right now because they're much more powerful. So if Bohemia allies France and Austria allies France, which is very rare, Austria very rarely allies France, if they're both allied to France, it's kind of a stalemate because none of them are going to be able to go to war with each other without France hopping in on the other side because the defender always gets to call in first. So with that, ally your rivals' friends, and you guys are going to be at a stalemate until one of you breaks the alliance. So just keep that in mind. I hope that made sense. That might have been completely jumbled. All right, here are the different actions we can do. All these actions need a diplomat to be done. We have 2 diplomats. You can get up to like 7 diplomats. I've gotten 7 diplomats before. It's pretty crazy. You never need 7 diplomats, though. You probably need maybe a maximum of 4 if you're in the Holy Roman Empire. Here on the Iberian Peninsula, at the beginning of the game, diplomats are always a very nice resource to have. Late in the game, they're pretty common. You can have diplomats that are always sitting in your place. So, let's start off with the alliance actions. The first one is form a coalition against them. A coalition is countries that join in against a nation, and if one of the people in the coalition declares a war against them, everybody in the coalition is coming with them. And if the person that the coalition's against declares a war on somebody, all the members of the coalition are coming in on the defender side. So it's a pretty deadly thing. You don't want to get coalitions against you. Ways to get coalitions against you? Aggressive expansion is the #1 reason people will join a coalition against you. So if you're taking too much land in the Holy Roman Empire and everybody hops into a coalition against you, you're pretty much screwed. Unless you're really good at keeping people at bay, Holy Roman Empire, I'm talking a lot about this Holy Roman Empire. I might have a whole video dedicated to the mechanics of the Holy Roman Empire because it's such a fun place to play, but it's kind of overwhelming for a new player because there's so many little nations, so much to learn about it, and there's so many like intricate different mechanics that I'll have to get into that mechanic as well. All right. Offer alliance. That'll offer an alliance. Alliances can be called into wars. Alliances mean that you can't go to war with your ally, of course, without breaking the alliance. And yeah, it just really increases relations with both players or both countries. Support independence. This is something that was introduced in what was it? I think it was introduced in Conquest of Paradise. So if there's a subject nation that doesn't like their overlord, so for instance, if Naples hated Aragon, I could support their independence. And if they went to war against Aragon in an independence war, I'd join them. So that's somebody else to join their independence. Another good option for this would be like, let's say Auvergne hates France. Auvergne is a vassal of France. If I supported Auvergne's independence, I would join them in the war in the independence war. So just keep that in mind. I hardly ever use this button, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. All right, influence actions. So these are pretty straightforward. Enforce peace is the one button I've never used in this menu. One of the buttons I've never used in this menu because this is the stupidest thing. You can join on one side of the war and try to say, get out of the war or else I will join. This is a very weird thing because if you have an ally fighting another ally and you don't want to join on either side, well, how would that work? Let's say it's such a weird button because what it's saying is pretty much if you're enforcing peace, because currently France and England are at war. So if I go to France and I say I want to enforce peace against England, I want to join on England's side, or no, I want you guys to stop the war or else I'm joining England in this war. The weird thing about this button is that it's very hard to do because you need to have a positive opinion of England. You need a positive opinion of England like plus 50 or something, which is very rare to have somebody that's plus 50 that's not your ally. And usually you'll be on your ally's side of the war. So it's very rare to ever enforce peace. And why would you want to enforce peace, honestly? It's really random because like why do you care that somebody's going to war with somebody else? Like it's such a problem to go to war in this game. Like it's such a big deal to go to war that you hardly ever want to join other people's wars for no reason. So enforcing peace is kind of random. I'm sure there's some really cool exploits to use it and stuff like that, but I haven't ever used it. I'm more of a casual player, to be honest, so keep that in mind. Enforce peace, not a button I ever use. Offer vassalization, that's a good one. If somebody has a plus 190 opinion of you and they are a small nation, like Navarre is a great example of that, you can offer a vassalization, and that will make them join your nation. They'll still be an independent state, but they will be under your banner, so you will be controlling them. Then you can, after 5 years of them being a vassal, then you can integrate them and they become an actual part of your nation. So that's good. Establish a protectorate. A protectorate is a vassalization except for a technologically unadvanced nation. So for instance, if we went down into Africa here, which you can't see, there's like nations like Kanem Bornu and Mali. Those nations never catch up to the European world. I could establish a protectorate with those nations, except I need 190 opinion and I need to be more technologically advanced than them. Then I can request a protectorate if I'm an African nation or a First Nations, Native American nation or South American nation. And then what protectorates do is that they increases the rate at which you get technologies, which is great. And it also is just good because then you get somebody protecting you. That is a Western person, so that's very good. You can proclaim a guarantee on somebody, so if anybody declares war on that person, so guaranteeing their independence will be called into war against any country who attacks them. So if I guarantee France and Burgundy declares war on France, I'll be instantly called in on their side. Guarantees are useful if you want to keep a small nation alive. So what me and my friends do, just sort of as a fun little thing, is we like to guarantee Byzantium, because Byzantium is a nation that likes to die off early, and for a good reason, because look at them, they've got Ottoman cores, which is very hard to hold on to. So we just like to guarantee them, try to keep them in the game for as long as possible. It's just a fun little thing we do. But guarantees can also be great just for an easy increase of relations. So proclaiming a guarantee increases your relation and their relation by 10. So if you need just that 10 more to offer a vassalization, proclaiming a guarantee is a perfect way to do it. Send a warning. So that's a warning if I send a warning to France and they declare war on Aragon, I will be called in on Aragon's side. A warning is sort of like the opposite of a guarantee. A warning is if they declare war on anybody that's bordering me, I will be called in on the defender's side. So if you send a warning to, let's say, France and they declare war, as I already said in my example, that's how it works out. Relations actions. So this is pretty much where we improve relations, which you can do up to 100. So if I wanted to improve relations with France right now, I'd be able to increase it to, would that be 85 with my improve relations. Now, if there's this little button here that says requires diplomat to maintain the action, that means that one of my diplomats will be at France, will be in France, so in Ile-de-France, which is their capital, working on improving relations until he reaches 100, or I call him back. So he'll be there for a while. He'll be there since it increases. It's going to be increasing by, let's see, it doesn't say there, but he'll be increasing a certain amount every month, so he'll be there until he completely increases relations. So that's good. And then there's also send an insult, which is kind of the opposite of improving relations. Sending an insult it greatly decreases their opinion of you and your opinion of them, and it gives them a casus belli against you, so be careful with that button. Dynastic actions. This is where we can get a royal marriage. I've spoken a lot about royal marriages. That's how you kind of share your dynasty around, by getting royal marriages with other countries. Royal marriage is a great tool to also increase relations with other nations and increase your own relation of other countries. So if you get a royal marriage with France, France will increase by 25 relations. Royal marriage, it's just a straightforward 25 relation increase. So if I increase relations on France, if I royal marriage France, they will get a plus 10 relation of me, and I'll get a plus 10 relation of them, since we're currently at minus 15 each. Claim throne. That's when you have the same. You can only claim the throne if you have a royal. If we are the same ruling dynasty as them, and we have the same, and if we have a royal marriage with them, then we can claim the throne. So if they have a weak heir, but currently their heir is strong, if they have a weak heir, we can claim their throne, and we can become the new king of France when the king dies without an heir, or with an heir even. Even if he has an heir, I can still claim the throne. So that's a really good option. If the king is old and he has a heir that is weak, then I can just claim the throne. Perfect. Covert actions. There's only really one important thing. These are all things that come with the all of these other things. So discontent, support rebels, sabotage reputations, infiltrate administration. Those are all with the one idea group called espionage ideas. So don't even worry about these if you're not going to be taking espionage ideas. Espionage ideas are very, very frowned upon in the community, so I wouldn't take them at all. Fabricate claim, though. This is very important. This is where you fabricate claims on other people's land, which is one of the biggest casus belli in the game. If you have land that is bordering somebody else, it doesn't need to be just land bordering. If it's sea bordering. So if you're bordering somebody's land through the water. So for instance, I am bordering Algiers and Morocco because I have land in the Gulf of Almeria, right here in Murcia. So Murcia borders Oran, Telmanson, or Telemekin, I never know how to say that, and Algeciras. I also border Maya, Kuda, or no, just Maya, I'd say. Kuda's not in this water tile. But Cadiz is, so I guess Kuda as well. But I can fabricate a claim on any of the guys that are touching the Gulf of Almeria, Straits of Gibraltar. I can even fabricate a claim on these two guys here, Poitou. I can go all the way over there. So that's the thing. You can fabricate a claim on any nation that's bordering you through water and through land. I actually learned this quite late in my play experience, so like about 50 hours in, I was like, oh shit, you can actually fabricate claims through water. It's really cool. Okay, so fabricating claims. You need a diplomat to stay there, and there's a chance that you get caught. If you get caught, then you get a whole lot of aggressive expansion, which is bad. So you got to keep that in mind. They're going to say the percentage of being caught. So if I take Poitou, for instance, it's a 1.78% chance of discovery every month. So every month there's a 1.78 chance, which would come out to about 12 months. So about 13% chance of being discovered, which is not bad odds, I guess. And if we do just get discovered, that's 7.5 aggressive expansion, which you can see the effect on it of everybody else there. So Bourbonnais, France, and Orléans will get a -14 penalty. So that'll be -14 relations with me. So be careful with that. If they have like a 7% chance of discovering you, you might want to be careful because by the end of that, that's 7 times 12, which is 72, which is a pretty high chance of being caught. Economy action. So this is where we can issue embargoes, which are very good against rivals for increasing that sweet power projection. Embargoes increase your power projection, and they make that all the trade power that they get from your country, or all the transferred trade, it's pretty much issuing embargo reduces the power of their trade in nodes where we have power. So if we have a lot of power in Sevilla, which we do, having a embargo on Portugal would decrease their trade power in this node. So we will gain more power from it consequently. So if we issued an embargo on Portugal, they would get less power in this node. Sending a gift. Gift is very good because that increases relations. It's a very good way to spend your money late game. So if you have a lot of money, you can spend your money on increasing relations with other people. If you just need that last 10 points, for instance, to vassalize somebody, sending them money is a great way to do it. Loan offer. Now this used to be useful. It's not useful anymore though because they reformed the AI to never want to accept a loan. Why did they do this? Because it used to be very abusable. There used to be a casus belli that if they didn't repay a loan, you would have a casus belli against them, which was a very, very good way to get casus belli across sea. Like if I wanted a casus belli against the Ottomans, I'd offer them a loan. They got rid of that. So loan offers are really just for other players. If you want to offer a loan to one of your fellow players, if you're playing multiplayer, that it's there. But AI will never take a loan. Give subsidies. So this is a good way to increase relations as well. You give them money each month, and it makes them not only increase relations with you, but also it will show them that you're supporting their war effort. You might also get subsidies from other countries. Like if I go to war with people that are common enemies to France, for instance, if Aragon hated France as well, they might send me subsidies to increase my war effort, which is really good. Great little feature in there. And also you can sell provinces. The AI will almost never buy provinces that they don't have a core or a claim on, so don't even try doing it most of the time. The AI will very, very rarely sell you a province unless you have a core on it, so keep that in mind. Finally, access actions. So ask for military access, which will let your troops walk through their place. Ask for fleet basing rights, which will let your boats dock at their ports. Offer fleet basing rights, which will offer their boats to port at your docks, and then offer military access, which will offer their military to walk through your land. These are really good too because they increase relations as well. So if you're missing that last 10 points, again, you can ask for military access, which will increase your relation of them, I think, or their relations of you. I don't know. You got to work around with these, but I think it's plus 10 per piece. So if you can get it like a plus 20 from fleet basing rights and military access. It's all these little tricks that you need to kind of get to that 190, because getting to 190 opinion of somebody is very hard to do sometimes. So if you can use these to get there, very useful. And that's it in the diplomacy menu. Now you're going to see a lot of things here. These are all pretty much just summarizing what's going on here, like guaranteeing independence of Scotland. So as you can see there's the guarantee. So you can see the guarantee there. That means that they have the guarantee posed on Scotland. Here they have the Conquest Casas Belli. These are vassals. You'll see these. You can just scroll over and see the thumbnail. I don't think I need to go through all of those. Economy. Here we go. This is a big one. So here's income. Here's expenses. This is the money that's coming in. This is the money that's leaving. So you're spending we're spending 21.22 ducats per month, and we're making 21. Sorry, I think I said spending. I don't remember, but and we're spending 12.45. So, and then together, 21 minus 12 is 8.76. Well, 21.22 minus 12.45 is 8.76, which is the amount we are making. That is our net income. This is our, what is it? Net and, I don't remember the other term, but pretty much, yeah, this is total income, and this is like income minus expenses. There you go. All right, so the first one, the most basic, is taxation. Taxation is the most basic form of making money. The more provinces you have, the more money you'll be making from taxation. You can increase taxation by building buildings. Pretty much that's it. There's random events that increase taxations as well. There's no real slider to increase taxation like in Victoria, but it's there. Taxation's there. You still make money from every province you own. Production is how much you're producing from the trade goods. So for instance, here we're producing wool. Production is how much you're making it from production and then putting into the trade nodes. And let's go to trade. Trade, we're making 2.78. So trade is how much you're making from the actual trade nodes, from your merchants being there. Production, you're putting the trade into the trade nodes. Trade, you're collecting from the trade nodes, if that makes any sense. Gold, that's how much money you're making from physical gold. So in Toledo is one of the largest gold mines in the world, and that's why Spain is such a good nation, because they get one of the biggest gold mines. Toledo, if we click on this real quick, is producing currently, let's see, supply of gold is provided from 25 provinces. It doesn't say the amount that it's producing around the world, but it's producing 1.7 of the 23.8 units of gold in the world. So we're producing about, I'd say, we're producing about 5% of the gold in the world, which is pretty nice. 5% of the gold in the world is great from one province. And gold makes bank. Gold makes a lot of money. So if you want to go for the gold provinces, which we can go to the trade good map mode, we can see where the trade goods are. So as you can see, there's one in Toledo, one gold in Toledo. So if we click on gold, we can see they're quite rare. Of course, Austria has their good old Tyrol trade gold node, which is another very good one, 1.7. And Georgia has one as well, which is a 0.9, so not as good. Kazan has one, which is a 1.9, very good one. And Sus, which is one of the not as good ones, produces 0.3. So as you can see, there's only 4 that we've discovered so far. 5, sorry. That's actually not that much. So we're currently controlling a lot of the gold that is being produced right now. Now, of course, we can click on any other trade good and see it there. So if we click on grapes, we can see that there's grapes being produced all over here. This right here, this one's really important because this is producing currently 1/3 of all of the copper in the world. That is a very good province to own because it's producing a lot of copper. Provinces will produce different goods and will produce a different amount of them. Of course, if you take like Sketchtown, Africa, like right here, Figwig, I don't think they're producing 0.9 of the 102 wool, which is not very good. So there's some provinces that are better than others. The trade good is not linked to the base tax. For instance, as I showed earlier, the copper province up here is a 1 base tax, but it's producing 1/3 of all the copper in the world. So keep that in mind. Yeah, so that's that. Gold tariffs is how much you're making from your colonies. We don't have any colonies, so we don't have to worry about that. Vassals is how much you're making from your vassal income. 40%, by the way, that's the modifier, so we're making 5% of the base tax. Well, 5% of the tax. So the tax here, we are making 0.96. So we're making 5% of that. 5%? I think we're making 10% there, but it's pretty much, it goes through a modifier first. Production, 10%, 10% of trade, tariffs, vassals. Harbor fees is how much we're making from people asking for fleet basing rights. Fleet basing rights is not free. Military access is. So if you ask for fleet basing rights, you're going to spend 2 per month. Subsidies is how much you are making from subsidies, people sending you money in the war effort. Spoils of war is how much you are making from looting provinces, which is a feature I've never really used. But if you have not enough men to siege a province on a province that is not touching your borders, you will make spoils of war, where people will raid the province and just take money from it and give it to you. So that's just a good way to make money during war. Expenses. So this is where we're spending money. So we're spending money on advisors, of course. They're costing us 1 apiece for a 3 total. Interest, which is you get it from loans and also from having gold, because your money is getting less worth, is being worth less the more gold we mine. So our inflation will continue to increase. Currently, we're increasing by 0.14 because our economy is very reliant on our gold mine, Toledo. Harbor fees, which is how much we're spending on harbors. Diplomatic expenses is how much we're spending on subsidies, support rebels, vassal fees, and outgoing tariffs. Colonial maintenance, when you are going to colonize, you're going to have to pay to get the colonists to work. It's very expensive, actually. It's like 2 per colonist, so keep that in mind if you're ever going into debt. Colonists are expensive. Missionaries also cost money, much cheaper than colonists, though. Missionaries, of course, have changed the religion. Army maintenance, which is the biggest stat there for sure. You'll always be spending the most on army maintenance, and you can always change army maintenance as well. Army maintenance can be lowered when you're not in war and put up when you're in war. I would suggest I always keep it to the max, even if I am not at war. I know it's a bad idea because you can make a lot of money just keeping it down like that, but I always forget, and then I go to war and my armies are all dead because they don't have as much morale. Decreasing army maintenance decreases the morale that they get, so keep it at the max if you want your armies to fight the best. Fleet maintenance is how much you're spending on your fleets as well, so you can put that down to the minimum as well. We have quite a big fleet as the Castilian Empire, so we're spending 3.33 on boats. Total expenses, total income. Here's our inflation. Inflation is a percentage, so if you have a 10% inflation, your money is worth 10% less. That's how much it works. So keeping that inflation low is very important. If it goes out of control, then your money's worth literally nothing. Or not literally nothing, but close to nothing, so keep that in mind. Here you can take a loan. Loans, be careful with loans, because if you don't pay them back, then they're going to start, then they just increase every time you don't pay them back. But loans also increase inflation, so the more loans you have, the more inflation you're going to get. We can have up to 108 bank loans at a time, which is insane. Repay loans. We don't have any loans right now, but we can repay them if we do, and then we can repay all loans. War taxes are a very important thing during war as well. You can spend military points to raise war taxes, which will increase your base tax for a little bit of, or not your base tax, but will increase the amount, decrease the land maintenance modifier and the naval maintenance modifier, so how much your units are costing you, for 2 years. So during the war, you can have reduced maintenance on the units, so you can just make more money. It's very important during war. I like to increase that when I'm starting to lose money during war. And that's it for this episode. Holy shit, that was a lot of talking. Hopefully this helped you guys out. Next episode, we'll be doing trade, technology, ideas, and maybe missions and decisions if we have time. This was a longer episode than I anticipated, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did watch to the end, maybe use the word economy in your comment, because that would be great. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.